and welcome back to our 60-second highlights on risk. Our summer focus for this year is on protecting directors and officers against personal liability. In our last episode, we looked at sexual harassment claims brought by employees, and we looked at two different examples. Today, we're going to focus on another important lawsuit against directors and officers, the Northstar Aerospace claim. Baker et al., the directors and officers, were sued by the Ministry of the Environment and were held personally liable by the MOE for contamination at various locations in Cambridge and Ontario. What occurred was that the environmental contamination left the plant and contaminated nearby residential properties, resulting from the company's aircraft parts manufacturing activities. They were using a chemical which became airborne, and this occurred from 1981 through to 2009. Inadequate funding was set aside by the directors and officers for the multi-million-dollar remediation work which needed to take place, including before and after bankruptcy. The MOE argued that DNOs had allowed the company to file for CCAA protection and stop the proper remediation funding activities. The settlement was $4.5 million to the MOE, and a portion of that was paid out of the pockets of the individual directors and officers. And a big reason for that was because the insurance which they had arranged was not properly arranged and did not include environmental remediation coverage, which directors and officers policies can cover. So there are some important lessons from this litigation. First of all, ensure that the company has a robust environmental policy and proper practices in place. Secondly, ensure that there's sufficient protection for directors and officers via indemnity agreements. And we talked about that in an earlier episode of this series. Ensure that there are proper insurance coverages in place, including for environmental remediation liability. Establish a fund or set aside money in a trust account covering potential environmental remediation costs, and report immediately to the proper sources any environmental issues. So for further reading of this important case, I suggest you visit an update on directors and officers' environmental liability, lessons from Northstar Aerospace, written by Selina, Lee-Andersen of McCarthy Tetrault. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you in our next episode.